Get a motion that the closed meeting be closed, and the board certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting to which this certification applies, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion concerning the closed meeting were heard, discussed, considered. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion for Mr. Honeycutt, a second for Mr. Edwards. Roll call.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Sturdivant?
Yes. At this time, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to continue with our meeting. Mr. Nichols, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chairman, I think we need to amend our agenda for this evening.
We do. Do we have typically we have to amend the agenda prior to the closing of closed meeting. This board can make an exception if we vote on it. Do I get a motion that we amend the agenda?
Yes, sir. I would like to amend the agenda in the action section to add item E, Parkview basketball.
We have a motion to amend the agenda, add in action item E, Parkview basketball. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Sturdivant?
Yes. Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ms. Bailey. I was a little discombobulated there myself for a second. Okay, members of the board, first of all, I want to say to you and to everybody here, very Merry Christmas. We're looking forward to the Christmas break that is coming up. The first thing that we want to deal with tonight is some recognitions of some of our students, as we do each month, and I'm going to ask Ms. Height if she will come up and make the presentations.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Again, good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nichols, school board members. Tonight, I have the privilege of introducing the Senior of the Month for Parkview High School, and I would like you to meet Marquise Lamar Davis. Marquise is the son of William and Dorothy Davis of Boyden. He has a younger sister that he strives to be a very positive role model for. He attends church in Palmer Springs, and he enjoys church activities, and he loves to sing in the choir. Marquise is a diligent student who works hard to complete his assignments to the best of his abilities. Marquise takes a strong interest in athletics. He's a member of the varsity football and baseball team, and he has earned the respect of all of his coaches and his teammates. Marquise trains consistently with weightlifting, running, catching, and hitting drills to improve all of his skills. The head football coach, Kelvin Hutchison, has worked with Marquise, and he is very proud that Marquise is a model citizen for the team. Coach Hutchison said Marquise is always the first one on the team to volunteer to do anything that needs to be done, and he is very respectful and he has great manners. Ms. Tiffany Lynch, who is present tonight, was the person that nominated Marquise, and she said he has had some challenging situations in his personal life when he was younger, but he has made the choice to be thankful for all that he has, and he works hard to do very well for himself and for others. He has accomplished so many amazing goals during his time here at Parkview High School. Each of them earned a great deal of hard work and effort on his part. He always has a smile, and he always shows respect to others. He has a wonderful work ethic and amazing personality to go with it, and he's going to be a wonderful representation of Parkview High School. His greatest hero is his father, who is present tonight with Miss Davis. He makes me a better person, and he teaches me to always do the right thing and be responsible. My dad is a great man, and he was in the Army, and so Marquise wants to join the Army as well. And I have known this child since he was in elementary school, so I was so happy that he was chosen. So congratulations, Marquise. And I would tell you that our senior of the month from Bluestone High School unfortunately was unable to attend this evening, so tonight we're only recognizing one student. Thank you.
Ms. Height, after we do the next recognition, if we ask him to stay so we can
Yes,
congratulate them
sir.
both? Thank you.
I told him that that would probably be what you would do. He's
Thank you,
prepared.
Ms. Height.
Yes, sir.
And I would also add, our recognition tonight for National Board Certification is one that will be presented by Ms. Alga.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members, Mr.
Good evening.
Nichols. National Board Certification is recognized as the gold standard in teaching certification. National Board standards were created by teachers for teachers, and certification is a voluntary process to certify teachers to those standards. It is a very rigorous process and one that requires dedication and commitment. Currently, there are approximately 112,000 nationally board certified teachers across the United States, and we are proud to recognize Mecklenburg's only nationally board certified teacher, and that's Mrs. Angela L. Wells. She was unfortunately unable to be with us this evening. She is the library media specialist at Parkview Middle School, so we will make sure that she gets this certificate. But that's quite an honor and a recognition for her. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I might also add, there is funding that the state makes available each year for all of our nationally board certified teachers. That's a reward for the hard work that they've been through, and they do get it each year. I'd like to bring that out specifically because we'd like to encourage more of our teachers to go through the certification process and take advantage of this opportunity to earn a little bit more money that comes in before Christmas and can always be used. So, thank you. And they are the recognitions tonight, so if you wanted to.
Mr. Davis, if you come up, the board would love to have an opportunity to congratulate you and say hello.
Board members, moving on, we have an update on some of our policy regulations related to school facilities. I'm going to ask Mr. Brian Dalton if he would fill us in on those.
Good evening, Mr. Nichols, board members,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chairman. Tonight, the Mecklenburg County Public School Board Policy, KG, provides written procedures for the community use of school facilities. The superintendent is responsible for administering and maintaining procedures for the community's use of the school facilities. Policy Regulations KG-R1 outlines these procedures. Our recommendation tonight is that the board supports Policy KG, Community Use of School Facilities. This is information only this month for a vote in January.
Any questions, board members?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Ms.
I
Bailey.
have a couple of questions.
Okay, floor is yours.
Brian, on the stipulation that when the cafeteria is used, the cafeteria personnel need to be present, would that extend to a situation where we just need to get water from the spigot, and we need access to the kitchen to get water to make lemonade or Gatorade or for whatever reason, maybe for a school dance, or if there's a, like for PTA or something that's using the cafeteria and all they're going to get is just water, would that also require a cafeteria worker there?
No, ma'am, I would not I don't think so in that case.
Okay. My second question is, let's see, it's under number 2. It's actually on the second page, 2C, and there's section personnel staffing requirements.
Yes, ma'am.
It says employee volunteers prohibited. School board employees shall not be permitted or requested to volunteer their services for these purposes. Can you elaborate on that particular prohibition?
Hang on for a minute.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's, page 2, under number 2, C, employee volunteers prohibited. So we have, outside, someone who's either rented or we're donating the space. And maybe one of our employees also volunteers for this organization, but C says employee volunteers are prohibited. So can you just,
I can. A lot of that is mostly, if we're having an event, sometimes we'll get employee volunteers that may say, it may be an outside organization, say it's, I don't want to say anything specific, but say it's an outside group. And we may have an employee that's like, well, I volunteer with them, I work with them. I can just come open the building and close it and clean. We want them to stick to the procedures of making sure that they hire a custodian, one of our custodians or one of our personnel members to come and clean the facility, because, there are regulations in terms of what chemicals we can use and what we can use to clean. So we just sort of put that there. And one of the things we did do is refer back to the policy that we had before. We adopted the VSBA policy that sort of blanket this thing. We let communities use our schools, so we wanted to go back to those same regulations.
okay. And my last question, Mr. Chairman, is, on the third page, actually it's the fourth page, additional rules and regulations. Number 11 says that premises are rented or donated with the understanding that tipping of custodians or other school personnel is not permitted. And of course, custodial fees apply for cleaning.
Yes, ma'am.
And is there a reason why tipping would not be allowed?
We just really wanted it to be consistent. Once you got your rate, that was your set rate for what you were gonna pay, so that we can kind of make it fair for custodians to volunteer, to participate and be that person involved. So that we can make it fair through the process. But if that's something you all want us to re-examine in time, we're just putting it up tonight for the first reading.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Currently, I'm only familiar with Mr. Dalton, South Hill Elementary School that uses, that rent that facility out.
Yes.
How many other of our facilities in the county, our schools are being rented out on a weekly basis?
Currently, Clarksville Elementary has a church group come in every third Sunday of the month.
Okay.
And to my knowledge, those are the only two really being used right now for church services.
Okay.
But
All right.
there are many groups that on them, that
Right.
come in and will rent for one thing or another.
Okay.
From
All
time to
From
time.
time to time, that they're the ones that are consistent.
right. Okay.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Ms. Bailey?
Just one. For our employees that may be serving in a cafeteria or as custodians, I understand that the groups that are renting our facilities have to carry liability insurance for the time that they're using that. What if one of our employees, while they're subcontracting with this person, were to get hurt?
That
That-
group's insurance should cover them at that time, not ours.
Does it cover, say, a workers, does the insurance that you're asking them to carry, would it cover a workers' comp type injury?
Yes, it should.
Okay.
We call it just
Mhm.
to be sure, since they would pay the custodians, or cafeteria personnel directly, whose workers' comp insurance would fall under, so they told us to put that clause in there, that they would fall under, that they needed to get liability insurance and include it.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Dalton.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? If none, thank you, Mr. Dalton. Mr. Nichols?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to again ask Ms. Height to come forward. She wants to go over the program of studies that Ms. Height and Mr. Cyphers and many of our counselors have worked very diligently on to prepare for our students. And so if you'll give Ms. Height your attention.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Nichols, Mr. Chairman, and board members. Tonight, we've shared with you the draft of the middle school program of studies and the high school program of studies, and I'm going to ask Mr. Cyphers to come up here with me, too, because he's been instrumental in helping with this process. Also, we've had committees that have been working on these drafts through our guidance counselors at both the middle school and the high school. We are going ahead with this process as we would like to start scheduling very early in the school year this year, and we've adopted a timeline for the process of scheduling this year. We have deadlines and stuff that we're trying to adhere to. I will tell you that one of the other things that we are proposing this year is that we're going to print our program of studies. We're going to go back to that practice of printing. We feel very strongly when we met with the group that in order to get parental support, we need to provide them with the information. And when students take their course selections home, they will have a copy of their particular program of studies with them. I've already received 2 quotes for printing so that we'll be able to hit the ground running as soon as this is approved in January. So that's kind of the timeline that we're working on. I will tell you that we are going to do 1 book for middle school, as you can see, and 1 book for the high school, although there is some information in the middle school book that has high school information in it as well, because we do have middle school courses that carry high school credit. I will tell you that this is a draft, and because of the direction that we are going in our school system as far as Portrait of Graduate and the career planning, a lot of our program of studies from this time forward will be very fluid, because we will be offering courses as they are available with community college support, and once we're having partnerships with our businesses and so forth. But we still wanted to have something, you know, a framework for our core content areas and the electives that we do offer. But there are topics within both of these programs of studies that they are just very broad, very generic about some up-and-coming things that we are looking into. So I would ask that you please review these very carefully between now and our next board meeting in January. And please feel free to send me any feedback so that I can also send it to the counselors and so forth that we've been working on this, and I want to make sure that I keep everyone in the loop. And I'm going to have Mr. Cyphers talk to you about the QR code, because he's instrumental in helping this process get off the ground.
Mr. Chairman, just one
Questions, yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, Ms. Height, just one that popped out generally, of course. On page 12 at the middle and Parkview Middle, Bluestone Middle, I'm sorry, Bluestone Middle and Parkview Middle, I want to make sure I'm reading that correct. Music 8 on page 12.
Yes, sir.
Now, what does that entail? Is that an actual course class?
We're going to offer, yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
We're going to offer 6th grade music, 7th grade music, and 8th grade music.
okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Ms. Garner?
You're not extending the music into the high school, or you just using the middle school this coming year as a testing ground to start before you
For
start?
right now, it's just going to be in the middle school.
Okay.
Because the same person that's teaching band is also teaching the music, so they don't really have time once they go to the high school. Once they teach their band block, they don't have any extra time at the high school. But we had some available time at the middle school level, so we're trying to make wise use of our time and our staff.
Thank you.
Yes, any more questions?
So he's going to be at the middle school for 2 blocks, have a planning block, and teach band?
Actually, at the middle school, at Parkview Middle, the band teacher starts his day with planning before his teaching starts. It's the way his current schedule is, and then he'll have 2 blocks of time there, and then he'll travel to the high school and teach 4th block there. But he has the same amount of planning time.
Which block is going to get cut short? 3rd block or 4th block, because he's got to have travel time?
Third,
His
3rd block.
So who's going to cover his class when he leaves?
Well, he won't, I would have to show you the schedule, Mr. Campbell. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but there's no time going to be lost.
Okay.
Because he's on a 90-minute block at the middle school, and it's a 100-minute block at the high school, so he has that time to get where he needs to go, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I promise you, we've looked at it, but I'll be glad to forward it to you.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, and then Mr. Cyphers is going to explain the QR code.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nichols, and school board members. As Ms. Height mentioned, all of our students will receive a printed copy of this, but we know it will change. And as we change and update, if you're familiar with the QR code, there's a QR code in the bottom right-hand corner. And right now, if you scan that QR code with the QR Reader app on your phone, it takes you directly to the main page for the Mecklenburg County Public School System site. Once this is uploaded, we will actually change the QR code so that will reflect, so any time that a parent or you all want to see or anyone else wants to see the most accurate program of studies, you'll just be able to scan that, and then it'll take you directly to the web version of it.
Okay.
Do you all have any questions?
Any questions?
I just want to add to what has been said that, as we've mentioned before, this year's 7th graders and below will be working towards a different set of expectations for high school graduation, according to the state's expectations of Portrait of a Graduate. And we are working actively with administrators and with the counselors and with teachers to make sure that they're getting the appropriate information to make the choices that they will be needing to make in their future as we move forward with this program. And while those students will actually have changes in their diploma expectations, we don't want to leave out the students that are current 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th graders, as they have options in their future as well that we want them to be able to take advantage of. They will be held to the ideas of the current diploma setup, but we do want to encourage them, because we know the direction the state's going in is one that is backed by business and industry and community colleges and others for better success when they leave us for college as well as careers. And some of the things that you'll notice in here, again, is a lot more focus on students earning credentials as they do career literacy. And there's also a focus on moving into opportunities for advanced placement classes. Next year, we are already having conversation about advanced placement in statistics and math, and in the 11th grade English grammar and composition program for those that are recognizing they want careers that require a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree. That is so that they would have the rigor under their belt to be successful in college when they get there. We may offer others if we see that there's the demand from parents and teachers. We've already started having conversations with parents and teachers. I've met at one of the middle schools at a spelling bee at Parkview Middle School, and I already started talking with those parents about really looking at these. And we're going to have a series of other meetings beginning in January and through the spring and fall to get parents as engaged as possible, probably even videotaping some of it and putting it up on our YouTube channel, so that if a parent can't make it, they can still have access to the information that we'll be giving them. But this is a very important part of our process as we move into the 21st century skills that we know our business and industry and parents want of our children. So thank you, Mr. Cyphers, thank you, Ms. Height, and to all the counselors and the others that have worked on this so hard.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment, because I know I'll forget it in board member remarks, because that's how short my mind is this time of year. But I just want to thank Mr. Cyphers and Mrs. Height for, I've just had a brief moment to look through some of these things coming forward, and I'm really excited about what the children of our county will be offered starting next year. So I just wanted to thank you personally. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Mr. Nichols.
Okay, next we want to have an introduction to next year's school calendar. Ms. Alga's got some plans that she wants to bring to your attention for your action in another month.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, board members, and Mr. Nichols. In preparation for the 2017-18 school year, the calendar committee met on November 9th to discuss and develop calendar options for the upcoming school year. The committee consisted of representatives from each school, and I'd like to acknowledge their dedication and hard work to the calendar committee. And although they're not here with us this evening, I think it's important for you to know those folks that did work on the committee. From Chase City Elementary, Nikki Medina; Clarksville Elementary, Stephanie Neal and Ann Dalton; La Crosse Elementary, Candy Adcock and Eden Brazil; South Hill Elementary, Kim Clark; Bluestone Middle, Michelle Weddle; Parkview Middle, Dr. Riddell and Renee Jarman; Bluestone High School, Marjorie Randall; Parkview High School, Vicki Sawyers; Central Office, Robin Moore, Tracy Rogers, Joan Height, and Dr. Majette. So a special thank you to all those folks that served on this committee. I might add that this is not an easy task. It is very challenging and one that we are pretty confident will not please everyone. So, I hate to say that, but it's a reality. So 2 options were developed for your consideration and information, and to highlight that information, options 1 and 2 both contain 180 instructional days that include the required 140 clock hours for students. Also in both options, the first semester ends at winter break, and the second semester on both options are identical. So the differences include, for option 1, there's a 2-day new teacher orientation for option 1, option 2, a 4-day new teacher orientation. Option 1, all staff returns on Thursday, August 3rd, and option 2, all staff returns on Monday, August 7th. Option 1, open house fee day is on Monday, August 7th, and we realize we'll have to do a lot of advance notice for parents because that would be a huge change for this division. Option 2, open house fee day is on Thursday, August 10th. School opens on Wednesday, August 9th for the option 1, and it opens on Monday, August 14th for option 2. There are 3 days at Thanksgiving break for option 1, where there is only 2 days for for Thanksgiving break. First semester ends on Thursday, December 21st in option 1, and first semester ends on Friday, December 22nd for option 2. For the remaining semesters, or semester 2 for both of the options, teacher workday on Wednesday, January 3rd for both options. Students will return to school on Thursday, January 4th. Spring break is the week of April 2nd through April 6th, which mimics what our regional divisions are doing, Lunenburg, Charlotte County, and so on. Second semester ends on Friday, May 18th, and graduation will be held on May 19th. And we have checked with the community college to make sure there's not a conflict. So each committee member shared these 2 options with the faculty and staff at their respective schools, and option 1 was overwhelmingly the option of choice for the 2017-18 school year. The information presented this evening is just for information only and for your consideration for action at the January 17th school board meeting. Do you have any questions?
None, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Alga. Moving on, I would like to give a bit of a report on our reconstitution of schools update. We have, as you know, 3 schools that are in the process of undergoing reconstitution. That would be South Hill Elementary School and then the 2 middle schools. The staff and principals and counselors and everybody at those schools is working very hard in meeting the expectations of the state in this process. And I bring this up tonight primarily to acknowledge the hard work, the extra work that they're giving to this process, because it really is a lot of research, a lot of gathering of data that is taking place and planning for what we do with that data. But I'm also bringing it up tonight because we know that this is work that all of our schools will need to do, not because we expect any more of our schools to lose accreditation or be in a position of reconstitution, but because the state, as one would expect they should, are using this process to move from the former accreditation expectations of primarily focusing on students with their SOL results to looking at a multitude of data related to things like student tardies, teacher absenteeism, the climate in the school, dropout things, of a number of items that goes into all of this data that is going to fit into the accountability series that I gave you information on with the multicolored profile of each school. And so the teachers and administrators and counselors in these schools on reconstitution are in this process now, but our other schools will be needing to do this, moving in this direction into the future. The good news as we talk with the state about the direction that the state board is going, is an expectation, as I mentioned before, that they're looking at only about 5% of the schools statewide to actually lose accreditation, and only those schools that would be in the red. If you remember that chart, there were many areas, and you got rated on each one of the areas. And they've stated many times, only schools that are all in red or red and some yellow would actually have a chance of losing accreditation. And I'm very confident with the work that our schools are putting into this, we will have green and possibly even blue in some of our areas, and so our schools in the future will be moving with this. Now again, this process doesn't take full effect until probably no sooner than September of 2018. So we still have to really work with our SOL results this year as an issue related to our accreditation of schools for next year. But the work that's being done is not so much in a process of why are we doing all this work if the whole system's going to change. It's more of we know we've got to do this, and then in the future the other schools are going to have to and are beginning to do that as well. So I commend the work that the teachers are doing and all of the staff is doing toward this. And I want to say thank you to all of them that are doing this work, and let us know that we'll be doing it throughout the system. And if you have any questions, of course, I'll be happy to find answers or give answers for that. Then moving on to specific comments, as far as some information related to the budget, and I know we'll be discussing this as we have our Finance Committee meeting, but I know that many people have been watching with interest as the governor has announced a plan to give a 1.5% bonus to teachers because the state pulled back on the 2% of increase in teacher salaries and state employee salaries this year. I have taken this directly to our state superintendent of public instruction at a budget meeting as not a concern for the teachers, because I would love for our teachers to get a bonus. But I've also listed a concern that our school division took it upon our own responsibility to go ahead and pay the 2% because we knew that our teachers needed it. And particularly as our ADA is down a bit and we are in a tight budget situation, if that were to take place in this school year, we would want the liberty to be able to use those funds to put back in our pockets so that we could open up those sources of funding for schools again that we've frozen at this point. So, but what I'm told is it won't happen this year, that the General Assembly is just not in a position to be comfortable with the governor's projections at this point, and anything that would happen would not happen until we're in another budget cycle and we'll have time to talk about it. But as there are many, many questions that come up as they see that type of thing, I just wanted to bring that to your attention in case you have questions, and also bring to your attention that VSBA is having a meeting, a finance meeting for all school board members in January, and it's a great time for us to be able to go. I'm planning on going. I know some of you have already expressed your interest in going to Richmond. I'll also be going up to have conversation with the Virginia Association of School Superintendents because budget information is always important. It's critical for what we're moving forward. And I'm specifically going because I'm very pleased to announce that when I took the resolution that you all passed in our special session in December to the Board of Supervisors, they agreed, and they're working on a resolution as well to talk about the imbalance between the rural and the urban schools in Northern Virginia. So we feel positive that they've taken that action. We'll just have to see if it has any impact on the legislators. But again, I thank you for working with us on that. I also want to bring to your attention that we're very proud to announce that we have had students that have taken Microsoft certification in their career and technical classes this year. Certifications are a process that we know is becoming more and more important, and we have the third highest number of students in the Commonwealth of Virginia this year that have passed Microsoft certifications. So what we're working on is making a difference already, and we're very, very proud of that and looking for the certifications in other areas. And the last thing I want to bring to your attention is that in January at our board meeting, we have invited representatives from the Boy Scouts and from the 4-H, the local 4-H club, because we are partnering with them in setting up summer school and summer camp activities that are career specifically related to each one of the career centers that we're working on, which will give our middle school students a wonderful opportunity, in addition to what we already have with the hospital, with their health occupations program, with the community college with STEM programs. But we'll have a large number of opportunities for middle school students to participate in for career exploration that will help them in the decisions that they'll be making for career futures. And we're very thankful to these organizations for coming to the table and their willingness to work with us. And I'm looking forward to those presentations for us to hear about, and then we'll be taking them into the community, because we would really like for 100% of our students in middle school to be participating in these summer activities, along with reading, Ms. Bailey, and other things that will keep them busy in the summertime. And, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments for the evening.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. I only have a couple at the beginning here. One of them is always a pleasure to see the young men and women coming here for senior recognition. Mr. Davis, we're proud of you. I know I picked on you about, which branch of service you were going to go in, but it's always an honor to have the young men and women who are willing to step up to that challenge to serve their country. So I thank you, Mr. Davis, for raising such a young man, and you, Ms. Davis. Thank you. Some of the issues this is our last meeting of the year. We've been battling a lot of issues. One of those issues is teacher pay. That's always a conversation. This board is 100% behind making that a priority of teacher pay. Not just putting the teachers in the middle, but we would like our teachers to be on the top in the region. That's our plan. That is our goal. The other thing is school facilities. And this has been one of the hottest topics in Mecklenburg County since probably 1994. Eventually, this board will decide on something in partnership with the supervisors to get it passed so our kids can have a classroom environment that's suitable. We're going to continue on under committee reports. A, Joint Education Capital Improvement Committee. Do we have a report? No report. Finance Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee met this afternoon at 4, and we went over the bills that the departments had submitted. We also had a report from Brooke Hatcher and Technology about our servers in each school are being refreshed, and because they're big ticket items, and so we have brand new things coming in to keep our system up and running. Next month, as you look at your bills, you will also see the Chromebooks that we are purchasing from Dell. So when you're looking at bills next month, you'll see another large purchase in technology, and so we're excited about that coming through. As the committee discussed the bills, we are recommending, of course, that they be paid as presented. We also had a budget work session today, and I would encourage each of you to review your email, especially dated December 9th, December 15th, and today. There are budget worksheets in that email from Dr. Majette, and it's critical that you look at those, and if you have any questions about any department and what they're asking for, you can email that department, or you can email your question to Dr. Majette and get some feedback from us so that we're not surprised. Number 3, we also have changes in the Statement of Economic Interest forms that each board member is required to fill out. In the past, we've had to do those on June 15th and December 15th. and that has been changed. So now, and Paula, on your desk, there's a packet of information about the new statement of economic interest. It is due January 15th. The other change is that it's only due once per year now. So when you do for January 15th, it's for the prior year. The other difference is that you have to read each worksheet, each schedule. There are questions at the top of each schedule. They have to be answered. In the past, if it didn't apply to you, you could just leave it blank. That's not the case anymore. So if you have any questions about your statement of economic interest, please, Paula would be happy to help you with any questions that you might have about that. And, Mr. Chairman, that is the Finance Committee's report.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Item C, Gifted and Talented Special Ed Health and Family Committee report.
The School Health Advisory Board met this afternoon, and what they're doing is working on a wellness policy that has to be finished by June. And in this process, they're working with the health department, the PE department, the food department, to make sure that all of the requirements are met. And this will be a policy for the district.
All right, Mr. Ritchie? Okay. Item D, CT and Technical Education Committee.
There's no report unless Mr. Cyphers has nothing this time.
Okay. Next one is the Athletic Committee and the Discipline Committee. I met with the Athletic Committee. We now have two full-time athletic directors at each school. We have one full-time athletic trainer. It was a very good discussion. Some of the requests and concerns from the Athletic Committee were that in the future, they're looking at a possible request for an athletic trainer at Parkview High School. They talked about some of the accomplishments that we have received. We now have the wrestling program. We have competitive cheer at Parkview High School, cross country, and the soccer, boys and girls at each middle school. There were some concerns about one of the biggest calls for the athletic department is security. Looking at a way that the school can partner with the sheriff's office to decide who pays what and which kitty it comes out of. Because it's all county money going to the sheriff's department, either looking at a budget increase in one agency or the other. They talked about the structure of allocations for athletes. The cost of uniforms is ever increasing. The coaches and the athletic directors also said that when we look at running a athletic department, football, just the cost of conditioning helmets is staggering, and it eats into their budget. Both middle schools have a part-time athletic director, and the concern was that athletic director about the number of hours they have to do. It doesn't correlate with that stipend, and that goes along with our coaches as well. For example, football coaches start in the summertime, and when you compare the amount of time that our coaches and athletic directors at the middle school are putting in, maybe we could look at adjusting those stipends to address it. Facilities was a concern. Bunny Field used to be used at Parkview. I believe there's going to be a fee for that, so they're looking at bringing all of their games back at the schools where possible. I know they're trying to look at doing the games at Parkview Middle School versus renting fields elsewhere, as well as looking for other opportunities that Virginia High School sports offer, yet we cannot accommodate due to our facilities. So they stress facility needs and looking at trying to get some of those sports programs that other schools offer that we don't. Passes were discussed. What came out in the meeting is that they're going to also offer family passes to any family that would like a season-long pass. The prices are out on that. They also suggested that Mecklenburg County staff, to include any staff member and their spouse, when they show proper ID, be allowed in any athletic event in the county. We would like to get more participation at our games. Our young kids are doing a lot, both girls and boys sports, and by offering that, if it wasn't established, it's established now. If you're an employee of Mecklenburg County, from a teacher to a custodian to anyone, you and your spouse can come to our games by showing their ID. So they wanted to encourage many people in the community to come watch the talent that we have in our county. It's pretty amazing. That's all I have for the athletic committee report. We're going to be moving on at this point to public input. Madam Clerk.
I have 3 people.
Okay.
At this time, matters may be publicly brought to the attention of the board and administration. Public comments at board meetings are just one of many avenues for communication, and the board recognizes and appreciates the importance of input from and communication with the public we represent. The public is invited to sign up to speak. The clerk of the school board will write down your name, contact information, and the topic that you wish to speak about. The public is allowed up to 6 minutes at most meetings to express their views. Please respect that time limitation. It will be enforced. Please understand that it may not be possible to immediately respond to questions. As a reminder, it is inappropriate at public meetings to make personal attacks, to be defamatory, or to disparage individuals or identifiable groups. Again, we welcome and appreciate your input. Prior to beginning your comment, please state your name to the board. Mr. Gordon?
Hi, Greg Gordon. Appreciate you all allowing me to speak to you for just a few minutes. I'll be brief. Part I wanted to talk about was just maybe encouragement for our facilities plan, but really it kind of needed to open up with, recently I attended the VACO conference, which is the Virginia Association of Counties annual conference or meeting that was held in November. And at this point, they go over a lot of what's going on in the state and whatnot. And as you all well know, it was very apparent during the updates at the meeting that our state budget is very distressed. And there continues to be a shortfall in revenue, which once again means that we'll be dealing with state cutbacks. I know this seems to be the same issue that we've been dealing with for years. You know, these needs are, our budget needs an increase while state revenues decrease. That seems to be the same story that we keep hearing. We will, you know, our board will be addressing the resolution that Dr. Nichols spoke of, which hopefully will help equalize our rural communities, I think, and get some funds back to us. I personally, my goal is I want to see our education system flourish. So naturally, these revenue shortfalls and decreased funding have me concerned about our future fiscal needs. You know, and our budget planning will be coming up here first of the year. A lot of the things that you guys have mentioned will be on our mind as far as, you know we need to get our teacher salaries, the step increases in. We've got facility plans that we need to enact and upgrade some existing facilities. And, you know, I know it takes time to make these tough decisions or important decisions, but I would just like to encourage us to move forward with the facilities plan, especially our high school, middle school complex. I think it's now as important as ever that we start addressing this and start planning for it. I think, you know, we need a plan that will give every kid in our county equal access to a state-of-the-art education. This includes all kids, in my view, whether you're north, south, east, or west. Doesn't make any difference. Everybody deserves the very best and equal opportunities that we can provide. You know, I know it's up to you guys which direction you want to go, but I think it's time that we put a good faith effort and move forward with our consolidated middle school, high school complex so that we can take advantage of these budgetary issues that we have. I think it will help us in the long run do a lot of things that we need to do. We've got a lot of opportunities that I think that you all probably address on a daily basis that we can really reach out to our kids and provide better opportunities for them. And, you know, I get a lot of feedback about South Hill, and I'm not picking on South Hill, but, you know, a lot of people say, well, the businesses can't stand that Parkview moving out of the, you know, away from the town. But for the life of me, I can't believe that there's a business leader or a business owner out there that would want to impede the progress or the benefits that our kids would receive from this consolidated school and what we can do with it. That's all I have tonight. I appreciate the opportunity and want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas and look forward to working with you in the new year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Lois Marshall.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Nichols, School Board, my name is Lois Marshall. I live in Nelson. After reading much of the rhetoric published in the local newspapers, such as my district, my constituents, and the fact that individual board members have determined that a fair compromise was offered to the Board of Supervisors, I felt a need to finish the statement I had prepared in October. Finally, if I remember correctly, the reason for having districts within the county was to be sure that all areas of the county had representation on the school board. However, the belief that each board member only serves their election district is far from the truth. The school board of Mecklenburg County, a group of 9 people, represents all 30,000 plus of its residents. The board is charged with conducting the business of the county's educational needs to assure all children have the opportunity to achieve in the best environment available with the most up-to-date resources. Fortunately, each board member is committed by an oath of office taken at the beginning of their tenure. The oath mentions the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Virginia, and that each board member will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon them. As a member of the Mecklenburg County School Board, the school board also has a mission statement and a vision statement relating to fostering a culture of excellence and building a 21st century learning organization that prepares thoughtful, engaged citizens prepared to contribute to the prosperity of the county, Commonwealth, nation, and world. Unfortunately, it is my opinion this school board seems to be losing sight of what those statements mean. The Board of Supervisors member, Greg Gordon, summed up the compromise in the newspaper offered by the school board quite adequately. The sacrifice for one group of students and the losses in teaching and learning in state-of-the-art facilities for children of Mecklenburg County will not satisfy the school board's mission statement. Thank you for your time.
Pastor Danger.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Pastor Dagner of Word of God International Ministries. I'm actually here tonight not only to, I guess, be a voice for the ministry that I represent, but even for those that will be coming after me. I am currently in the South Hill Elementary School. Have been there right at a year and a half. Have a great relationship with the principal there, the staff there. We have thoroughly enjoyed our time there. We are now in the process of having our contract renegotiated. And one of the things that Principal Eisenhower made me aware of is that one of the items I believe that was going to be presented was in regards to the usage or time in the facility that I guess any particular organization. I believe that it was stated that it was to be viewed, I guess, at 2 years, I believe, for any organization. If I'm incorrect in that, I believe it was Mr. Dalton that was here. Yes. In regards to the facility. Is it now something that is being proposed for 2-year term or max for any organization? Okay. I can't speak, of course, to other organizations, you know, YMCA and things of that nature, but when you are in a ministry, you are in a different dynamic. One of the things, it may appear that 24 months is a long time, but when you're starting a ministry from the ground up, 24 months is not a long time. You have to, I guess in that first year, what you're looking to do is build a foundation. You are looking to make ties to the community, to build relationships, that people want to see that you're here for the long haul, that you're not just someone that came into town, that you just put a cross or anything on the front door or the window, and then in 6 months that, you know, you're closing up shop and you're going somewhere else. But for myself, I am born and raised in South Hill. I went to Parkview Senior High, went to Parkview Middle School. I actually left here in '92. And back in 2009, the Lord let me know that he wanted me to come back home. And so even though my residence at the moment is not here, but this is my roots, this is where I came from. And so what we are in the process of doing is building and establishing a ministry. And so when you're taking into consideration, you know, looking at a time frame, especially when, again, you're dealing with an organization like a church, that doesn't happen overnight. You want to, one thing, to ensure the people that there's stability. You know, we have actively been looking for locations, but again, it's location. It's, is it able to sustain growth? You know, is finance-wise, is this something that's feasible? And so there are a multitude of things that you actually have to take into account. You know, one of the things you don't want to have is, you know, you're moving to 3 and 4 different locations. You know, the people don't feel the stability there. You know, 1 week we're here and 3 months later we're here. And so just being a voice, again, that when you're looking at things like, you know, a stipulation as far as time frame, especially from a ministry standpoint, that it can take longer than that 24-month window that you're looking at. I know that personally, for the relationship that I have with Principal Eisenhower, that we have always been able to work together. To my knowledge, there has never been an issue or a concern where another organization wanted to come in and things of that nature. We're very open, very honest. We work very well together. And so I would just ask, you know, because that's being presented, especially when you're looking at a ministry perspective, to just keep that maybe in mind when you're moving forward in it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, are there any other people who are signed up or would like to speak tonight for public input?
That's it.
Okay. Moving on. We're at item 10, action. Can I get a motion that school approves the minutes of the regular school board meeting held on November 21st, 2016?
So moved.
We have a motion, Mr. Honeycutt. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Garner. Roll call.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Sturdivant?
Yes. Item B, bills. We have a motion from the Finance Committee.
Yes, sir. The Finance Committee is recommending that the bills be paid as they were presented.
Thank you. By virtue of the motion from the Finance Committee, we're going to move to roll call. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Sturtevant?
Yes. Item C, personnel, that the school board approves the personnel recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, Ms. Garner. Do we have a
Second.
second? Second, Mr. Honeycutt. Roll call.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Sturtevant?
Yes. Item D, schools facilities proposal. Does any board member have a motion for a recommendation for facilities? If none, moving on. Item E, under action, which is Parkview basketball team as that item. Do we have a motion for item E?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion.
Should we hear the recommendation from the?
Yes.
What we're voting on?
Okay. The recommendation for this item E, that the remainder of the 2016-2017 Parkview High School basketball season will be suspended. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion, Ms. Garner. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have multiple seconds. I believe the first, Mr. Honeycutt. Any discussion? If none,
Well, could we explain why that, if people are not aware, why that is?
well, we can discuss the motion.
Okay, that's fine if we can't, but I just,
Okay.
people were wondering what we're doing.
Roll call.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Honeycutt?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Garner?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
Mr. Sturtevant?
Yes. By virtue of that motion, the remainder of the Parkview High School varsity basketball program will be suspended the remainder of this year. Under item 11, agenda preparation. Actually, yes, item 11. January 2nd, winter break. January 3rd, teacher workday, no schools for students. January 4th, students return to school. January 16th, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, no school for students. January 17th is our next regular school board meeting. January 22nd through the 28th, Virginia School Principal Appreciation Week. At this time, we're moving to board member remarks.
Mr. Chairman, in light of our school board meeting being on the 17th, our Finance Committee meeting will be that day as well. Just
Yes, ma'am.
to make that clear.
Ms. Bailey has informed the board, because of our meeting is on the 17th, that will be the same day as our Finance Committee.
At 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Now into board member remarks. We're going to start to our left. Mr. Honeycutt.
First of all, I just want to wish everyone here this evening, all of our administrators, staff, students, very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. A lot of things have happened this year. We've, like our Mr. Sturtevant has said, we've got issues to address, but I feel that we can work across party lines and accomplish these goals going forward for 2017. And I just want to say that I appreciate all of our staff here in Mecklenburg County and all that you do to educate our children and to make them a success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Mr. Campbell.
Yes, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas too. And it may not look like it, but we do spend a lot of time on the school facilities proposal. I was on the phone till 11 o'clock last night. Been on the phone most of the day today. Things just have to be worded a certain way just to make things easy, I guess would be the best way to say it. We're not giving up. We're ready to compromise. Board of Supervisors are willing to work with us. I'm hoping that means they're ready to compromise in in their way of fashion. I'd like to thank our staff also, especially Mr. Dalton. We give him a hard time every month. But so far as I know, knock on wood, the heat has been working. Not to everybody's liking, but it has been working. So that's a step up. Ms. Alga has filled some positions that we didn't think we would ever get filled before we had our teacher pay right, which is another big concern and another thing that we're going to work on. If we're going to build new facilities, we need to have our teacher pay where it needs to be prior to those facilities opening so that we don't have to go out and look for teachers at that point to fill them. Everybody's doing a wonderful job. I mean, our staff is incredible. It's now Dr. Lax got her doctorate degree, and I promise I'm not going to say any much more, but for y'all that didn't notice, Connie Puckett walked in here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Mr. Edwards.
School facilities. I don't care how many buildings we build at this point, as long as they're all in one place. As Donald Trump said, there's no happy holidays. It's all Merry Christmas from here on out. But just try to remember the reason for this season. That's important. We're going to all need your prayers next year because we've got a tough job if we're going to find out which way the school board is pointed. So we ask you to all stick with us, and it's going to happen. Thanks again.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Ms. Bailey.
Thank you, Mr. Sturdivant. I just want to, again, echo Merry Christmas wishes to everyone, and I'll see you next year. And the other thing is that it has been my first year serving as school board member. I just want to tell all you aspiring school board members it's a lot easier out there than it is up here. And I've been very humbled. And also, I just want to thank the staff because they've been so patient with me and answered every question that I could ask. And as many of you know, that's a lot. I'm reminded of that in my household. You ask so many questions, Mom. But I do. I thank you so much for working with me and being patient with me and teaching me so much. And we truly are in the education business here. We're all learning a lot. And this first year has been challenging, and so I expect that the next 3 will be challenging as well. I do covet your prayers for that we would be good stewards of that which we've been given, and we are so blessed here. We have so many resources and people that just work very hard for us, and I want to be a good steward of that. And I also believe strongly that all families should be served well by this county, no matter where you live, no matter how far you are away in the corners. I do strive to represent every family who lives in this county, and not just the ones who live in my electoral district. And I have many great friends across this county, not just in the district that I serve. And so I take my responsibility with I'm very serious about it. And I do want to serve well. And I thank you for your reminders. I thank you for the people who stood up tonight to speak. I thank the Board of Supervisors for their support, for listening to our request. I look forward to next month's meeting. I hope will take place next month between the Joint Education Committee of the Board of Supervisors and the school board. That date has not yet been announced, but I hear it might be. And I look forward to that time to hash things out, to talk about things, to listen to other perspectives. I do value that highly. And just a reminder that Christmas break will be coming up in 2 weeks, and children need to have the night before Christmas read to them, at least
Two days.
once or twice.
2 days.
2 days, sorry. What did I say, 2 weeks? Christmas break is 2 weeks, so I'm sorry. Thanks. But you got, if you don't have a copy of The Night Before Christmas, you must read it at least once, but maybe 3 or 4 times, and maybe even start memorizing it. My aunt, Clara Mills, was a teacher in Mecklenburg County for many, many years, and she always had her 4th grade class memorize The Night Before Christmas, and it was always a great thing. So thank you for allowing us to have these comments tonight, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Mr. Ritchie.
Yeah, since it's the Christmas season, I'd like to assure everybody that I'm not Scrooge, and I do care about children. And I have 3 of them, and I took them to school this morning, and I picked them up this afternoon. So I'm very aware of the needs of children, and I care deeply about children, not just my own. Yeah, the truth, as I see it in this facilities argument, is that are good points on both sides. And I have respect for my colleagues on the board who are, whose opinions differ from mine, because they have good arguments as well. And I think that's what makes it such a difficult issue, because there are good arguments on both sides. But I think the truth is there's no constructive reason to try to pull each other down in the mud through this process. I don't think that helps at all. I think that drags it out if we just stand up and try to trash each other. I don't see any constructive results coming out of that. So I'm hoping that we can work together and soon reach an agreement, knowing that individually you're not going to get everything you want. That's not what it's about. You're not going to get everything you want. You can't go in thinking you're going to get your way, everything you want. You have to be willing to give, and that we'll all be able to reach an agreement that that everybody can live with, and that'll be good for our children. I don't think the children are going to lose either way. Like I said, I think there's good arguments on both sides, but we just had to find something that will that everybody can live with, and I think we're working towards that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. Mr. Johnson.
First of all, I'd like to say Merry Christmas to everyone. Hope everybody have a happy holiday. Be careful out there driving. This has been a very eye-opener of a year, 1 year on the school board. Some have come to me and said, you stay quiet, you won't speak a whole lot. I learned many years ago from my uncle who was chairman of the board of supervisors. He advised me, he said, when you speak, make sure your words count. Don't waste your words. But that's one thing that's really heavy on my heart tonight is the school situation. As we sit here talking and discussing about when to build a school, where to build a school, we're losing time. And my desire is that each and every one of us will just take this next few weeks while we all think about the school, think about what we need. I talked to several people just in the last month. One man was from the Palmer Springs area, and when I got to explaining things to him, he said, Kenneth, no one's never explained it like that. And as I began to explain to him about the different programs and things that they'll have at the school, he said, we just assumed that all the 8th graders were going to be walking down the hallway with the 12th graders, and we just were scared of that. No one has never explained it the way that you've explained it. Now that you say it that way and the way you explained it to us, he said, my mind is completely, he said, you've got my vote now, whereas before, I was just in the dark. And the secretary that was sitting there in the office, she commented the same thing. She said, no one has taken the time to explain the way that you've explained things here today. And I think that's part of the problem, that the people out there don't understand exactly what's to take place and how things are going to work out. Now, all of us have kids. I've got grandkids in the school system now. And I got grandkids on both ends of the county, as I've said several times before. I want the best for them, but I also want the best for every kid. For every kid that lives in this county. Have a place they can go when they graduate from high school. They'll be well started on their life journey in the work field. The other thing I'd like to say tonight before I close is that, you know, I go into the schools quite often. As a police officer at Clarksville, I have to go over there every morning, every evening. And I try to talk to teachers, try to talk to the kids, go and sit down with the kids. But I try to go out to the school bus and talk to the bus drivers, even the janitor who's alone on the hallway in the evening by himself, dumping the trash. I try to make it my mission to walk down to him and tell him, "Bud, you're doing a good job, and I appreciate it." Because as I look, it takes all of it. It takes everybody working to make this thing work a day at school. So I just want to say my hats off to all the school teachers, the principals, the school bus drivers, the janitors, everybody that has a part, even the school board, the superintendent, everybody. Not only that, even the parents. The parents who, like my mother, she had to push me out the door. That was no one that just like school, no one idea. And she had to push me out the door. There's a lot of you parents that have to really make big sacrifices to get your kids to school, be there in the evening when they get off the bus, the little kids, make plans for them. My hat's off to all you parents who are behind your kids, pushing them to get that education and go on in life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Ms. Garner.
I want to say one thing first. He didn't talk that much in class. I want to commend Major Hoffman and the ROTC from Parkview High School. They did a wonderful job at the Christmas parade. I understand they had audition, and they were one of 2 ROTC groups that was selected, and they did a marvelous job. I also like to thank the staff, the teachers, and everyone that works in our county, and I hope each of you have a nice Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Ms. Garner. Mr. Nichols.
Thank you, Mr. Sturtevant. I want to echo the Christmas wishes to everybody, and I can feel that from the heart conversation that has been held by our 6 new board members, because as you know, this is my first full year as a superintendent. I've worked with superintendents and I've worked with school systems all over the state, and you don't know until you get into the job what it entails. But I will say as well, and I've had many people ask me about it, I couldn't be any more thankful for the opportunity to be here to work with these people, because to a person, literally, from central office staff to administration in the school buildings, to the teachers, to the counselors, the nurses, the bus drivers, the custodians, everybody, they're missionaries. I truly use that word over and over again. They're missionaries serving these students, and in this day and time, we have a greater and greater number of students who need that type of support. I also want to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors. I've worked with schools all over the state, many places around the country, and I'd rank this school board and Board of Supervisors against anywhere else to be thankful to be able to work with. And I wish everybody a Happy New Year coming up. We have a lot of work to do to roll up our sleeves, and we're going to get there.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Madam Clerk, Ms. Paula Giammatteo, on behalf of the board, we would like to thank you for all that you do to keep us in line with all the emails you send us and the signatures we have to do. I just want to thank you on behalf of the board and give you an opportunity to say something if you would like.
Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a Happy New Year, and be safe out there.
All right. Also, in closing, I would like to say, God bless our school board, God bless our staff, and God bless Mecklenburg County. Do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second? All in favor? This meeting is adjourned.